Grace, mercy, and peace to you from God our Father and from Jesus Christ our Lord. This is the day the Lord has made. We are glad and we're rejoicing in it. It is a good day to be alive. It is a good day to be in Formation Saturday with each and every one of you. A time of special impartation and conversation that we have been doing now for several years on third Saturday mornings as a time to talk about subjects and topics that we find interesting related to the faith, related to spiritual to spiritual gifts, related to your maturity in the faith. And today is no different. I want to say good morning to everyone joining us, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube or you visited um, greaterbeulah.church for today's broadcast. I want to say good morning to you. If you do me the huge favor, why don't you like the video if you've not done so already? I want you to share the video with your virtual community. Let someone know that we're in the virtual space and that we're getting ready to talk about something, uh, some New Yearish stuff, some things that'll help us prepare for the coming year. This is actually one of my favorite subjects to study and to talk about. And so I'm going to take off my preacher hat and put on my coach's hat, and we're going to walk through something called a life audit. A life audit, and how that helps you plan for the new year. I have done this now. I have written copies of this for me since at least 2000 and oh Lord, 2018, 17, 18, somewhere along in there. I've been doing these exercises and creating these kinds of documents now since at least 2000. Uh, my last pastor was started in 2016. So I'll say maybe 2015, 2014, around the time mother passed away, I started writing stuff down in this regard and have continued at least twice a year, every year. Um, that would be 10 years. Yeah. I've been doing this for every year, twice a year for the last 10 years. I do it around my birthday, and I do it at the beginning of the year. And although I'm planning for 12 months when I do these exercises, um, I often revisit and revamp at the 6 month mark for both documents. And so we'll talk about that today. Again, I want you to share this. I want you to engage me in the comments if you will. I want you to subscribe to this channel, whether it's the Facebook page. I want you to like it so that every time we post content to the Facebook page, you will be notified. I want you to subscribe to the YouTube channel so that every time we post a new video to YouTube, you'll be notified. Or if we're every month, at the beginning of the month, we update the website completely and we put everything that's going to be on the website on the website. And so week by week, as we're in deeper Bible study or as we're having Sunday worship or whatever is happening throughout the month, you'll be able to go to the home page of that website and go to the designated section, and you'll be able to get to the different services and offerings that our church has available via greaterbeulah.church. And so typically, I would have a special guest and I'd raise questions to my guest and we'll engage in conversation around questions, typically 5 questions on the subject at hand. And our subject for this conversation is about auditing your life and planning your new year. Auditing your life and planning your new year. Why don't you put that word audit in the comments? AUDIT. Put the word audit in the comments. The word is audit. We want to audit our lives and plan for the new year. And so I'm gonna raise the 5 questions that I would normally raise if we had a guest, and I'm going to answer them, and we're going to talk through them. This kind of showed up in the initial initial conversations around our Deeper Bible Study series, where we're talking about Advent and anticipation and preparation and getting ready for the next, getting ready for what's coming in our lives. This kind of emerges from that conversation. So here's the first question that I want to raise and that I want to put on the table for discussion. Question number one, what is a life audit? That's part A. Part B is, does the Bible have anything to say about life audits? So let's put a definition out here. By way of definition, a life audit is a systematic examination of your current state across multiple life domains. Okay, it's a systematic examination of your current state across multiple life domains, and I ascribe to 10 different life domains. And when we studied this and it came up in Deeper Bible Study, I had you mark these life domains down. It is spiritual and physical and emotional and intellectual and social, marital or romantic, parental, vocational, avocational or hobbies, and financial. And so, as you're looking across your life, looking at your spiritual life and your physical life and your emotional life and your intellectual life, and you're examining these things, we call to mind the statement from Socrates. Socrates said that an unexamined life is not worth living. And so we don't want to drift. We don't want to drift. We want to design and plan our lives. We don't want to just drift through life, because that's what most people are doing. They're not living a life that they've curated, that they've crafted to be what they want it to be. They're living life, whatever happens, happens, whatever comes, comes. And because of that, they are up and down on the scales of life. But what I'm suggesting that we do, even now on the 21st day of December, with maybe 10 days left in the year, that we pause long enough to consider where we are. Where am I? Where should I be? How am I doing? How do I feel? What do I think? I need to pause to, with some form of system, ask myself some hard questions so that I can start setting myself up for the next phase of my life, the next phase of my year, the next phase of my life experience. And so, with that being said, I want to recall one of the books I read this year is called "Getting Things Done." It's written by David Allen, and in that book, David Allen talks about something called an altitude check. Why don't you put that in the comments? An altitude check. An altitude check. And the idea behind the altitude check and getting things done is that the altitude check is an alignment exercise. In fact, I'm dealing with this right now. It is time for me on my personal car to get in a realignment. My car is out of alignment. And so if I'm not actively holding the wheel, my car is going to veer to the right. If I'm not intentionally and actively maintaining control over the steering wheel of my car will naturally veer to the right. And because my car will naturally veer to the right, the only way to solve that problem is to take it to the body shop. I go to the body shop right up the street here from the church on the corner of 6th and Veterans, and I'll have them do an alignment for me. And they'll realign my car so that even if I'm not holding on to the wheel, my car won't veer to the left or to the right, because my car is in perfect alignment. So we need to check our altitude, because we need to make sure that our life purpose, the reason why we were born, lines up with what we're doing every day. We need to make sure that we can line up what we're doing every day with why we're here. Because here's the reality: there are urgent things that are not important. And we're more easily caught up in the urgent than we are the important, because the important isn't a pressing deadline. The important isn't, if I don't get this done today, then they're going to turn my lights off. That's not that's not the important. That's the urgent. The important is, if I don't spend time with my kids today, when they get older, I'll have a strained relationship with my children because I didn't do the important thing. And so while I was doing the urgent thing, making sure I picked up an extra shift to make sure that we kept the lights on and all of that, I neglected the important thing. I didn't spend time with my children. I didn't attend to my health. And so now I'm taking 10, 15 pills a day, 3 times a day, because I didn't pay attention to the important. I paid attention to the urgent. I was running, so I stopped at McDonald's. I picked me up a Big Mac and a milkshake, and I kept going while I was doing the urgent. What did my daily activity align with my life purpose, with the larger goal, the larger blocks that I was trying to move into accomplish? And so we have to, at regular intervals, for me, that is on my birthday, and it just so happens that my birthday falls at the mid-year point. My birthday falls in June, so I take the month of June and I do this for implementation beginning in July, and I run that implementation from July all the way through December, where I reevaluate and I do another life audit and I do new plans, and I run that from December to June, my birthday again, and we do it all over again, so that I'm always making sure on a 6-month basis that my life is in alignment. Because if you read the book Mindset, is by Carol Dweck, the book Mindset, she's going to talk about how, and if you're going to have a growth mindset, if you're going to have the kind of mindset that is not stuck to where you've been or where you are or your current scenario, then you're going to have to do things like this. You're going to have to, if we were to use the language of spiritual disciplines, you're going to have to do some self-examination. People who practice self-examination have a 42% chance more likely to achieve their goal. Why? Because they based it on what they know. They're not pulling it out of the hat. They've done some self-examination. They've created some data on themselves. And the science of the data says, this is where I need to focus my goal. This is something that's actually happening with me right now. I'm reevaluating my personal finances, and I'm reviewing over a 12-month period of time, where has my money gone? Where am I spending money? Where am I spending money? How much money am I spending? How much money is coming in? How much money is going out? I am more likely, because I've done that work, to improve financially than I would be if I would just say, well, I want to make more money. Okay, that's fine. Here's a conversation I'm having with myself as I'm moving on to the next piece of this. Here's a conversation I'm having with myself. I'm saying, okay, it's more easy to say that I need an extra, let's throw out a wild number. Or I'll use the number that we're using for the church. We need an additional $1,500 to $2,000 a week. That's how much more in offerings we propose to need to make. Now, that's one thing if we just stood up on a Sunday and said, hey, why don't we try for another $2,000 every Sunday? Okay, that's great. But we've done the numbers. We've done the research. We created the data points on our church's financial situation, how that works, how it goes, the ebbs and the flows, the ups and the downs. We've paid attention to all of that. And so now we can accurately say, based on the data points, that if we were to increase our giving from $1,500 to $2,000 a Sunday, oh boy, that will really move the needle for our church. It's based on the data, and because we built data out of our church, we have something that we can examine and evaluate. Now we can set a goal, and that makes us 42% more likely to achieve that goal because we have something to base our goal off of. The same thing with life satisfaction. 67% more likely to experience life satisfaction when you do these things called self-examinations, life audits. And if that's not good enough, you'll be better able to balance your life out. Work, family, relationship with God. It is said that you'll be 78% more likely to find balance in life if you do things called self-examination. So here's the question. And I've taken so much time in this, what does the Bible have to say about life audits? Well, let me mark down at least two of them. One passage is Psalms 90, verse 12. Of course, we've been working from the New King James Version, and this is where Moses is writing. We often hear this psalm read in funerals, and Moses is writing, and he says, "Teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom." O King James, that we may apply our hearts to wisdom. There is so interesting to watch the different translations. If you do NASB, it's teach us to number our days, that we may present to you a heart of wisdom. If we did the Amplified, it would be, so teach us to number our days, that we may cultivate and bring to you a heart of wisdom. I like the CSB. Teach us to number our days carefully so that we may develop wisdom in our hearts. Contemporary English Version. Teach us to use wisely all the time we have. Message. Teach us to live well. Teach us to live wisely and well. The Living Bible, the original Living Bible. Teach us to number our days and to recognize how few they are. Help us to spend them as we should. So in summary, what Moses, who wrote Psalms 90, is saying is that if you're going to live life well, you're going to have to start with assigning value to your days. Put that in the comments. Value. You're going to have to assign value to your days, that your days have to mean something. They have to be worth something. And once we determine what your day is worth, once we determine what is the highest good that you can offer to the day, once we determine all that God has created you to be and to do in the world in that day, that's Ephesians chapter number 2, is Ephesians chapter 2. Then you can weigh what you did in the day next to the value of the day, so that you can determine, okay, here's what the verse is saying. Teach us to number our days. One is quantity. How many days have we lived, and how many days do we have left? Okay, so for me, based on Psalms 90, the average lifespan is 70 to 80 years. I'm 36. What does that say? That says that I, even at this young age, have more days behind me than I do ahead of me, quite possibly. That's if I do the 70. If I do the 80, I have more days ahead of me than I do behind me. I still have another 45 years to live. 44. So now that I know that, okay, 36 years is gone, I'm going on to 80. I really want 120, but hey, I really want 120. So let me see here. If I live, and I'm praying for 120. I want to live to see 3 generations. I want to see Deuce have Trey. I want to see Deuce have Trey. I want to see Trey have 4. I want to see 4 have 5. So I want to live to see 2, 3, 4, and 5 of Maurice K. Micles. All right. So 120 minus 36 is 84 years. So if I have 84 years left, I'm going to times 84 years to 365. I have 30,660 days left. And if I have 30,660 days left, what am I going to do with those days? And how do I determine that? By evaluating what I have done with the days that has already been before me. I want to determine the quality of the days I've already had and the quantities of the days that I've already had. I want to compare them over against the quantity of days that I believe is before me. Let me do it this way. 80, 36, that would be 44 years. That would be 1,600 days, 1,660 days if I live to be 80. If I'm going to live to be 70, around 70, I'm just just go with me on this. 34 years at 365 days a year, that's still 12,000 days. How have I managed the days behind me? How effective has that been? So that I can determine how I need to manage the days that are ahead of me. That's Psalms 90 and 12. Let's do Lamentations 3:40. That's going to build on that. So how do I evaluate the days behind me? Let us search out and examine our ways. New American Standard has let us probe our ways and turn back to the Lord. My favorite translation on this verse is the Contemporary English Version. It says, we should think about the way we are living. Hear me again. We should think about the way that we are living. This says that we should do 3 things. This is a biblical framework for a life audit. The first thing it says we ought to do is do examination. That we ought to examine. That we need to be honest with ourselves. We need to do the Michael Jackson and talk to the man in the mirror. We need to stand in front of that mirror and see ourselves as objectively as possible, as honestly as possible. I am not as disciplined with my eating as I should be. I am not as disciplined with my money as should be. I already told you that I've been doing financial analysis of my personal finance. I'll tell you that the two are connected. Part of the reason why I'm not as financially responsible as I should be is because I spend so much money on putting food in my mouth. And I'm not the only one. One of the largest areas of expenditures that I realized in the last 12 months is on what I've eaten. And that's not including groceries, that's just eating out. I need to examine that. The Bible says that I need to search it out. I need to examine our ways. Search it out. Examine your ways. This means that there has to be some type of method of keeping up with what you're doing. We need to be able to pull that bank statement. I've not kept receipts, but I primarily use my debit card to my personal checking account. And so every time I've used that card, I have a record of that. I need to search that out. I need to go and check my medical records. What does my lab report say? When was the last time I went to the doctor? I need to check my bills, make sure that I'm not behind. I need to search out and examine my ways. I can't just do it off of the surface. I got to have a data point. And so I got to start thinking through, okay, if you journal, let me go back through my journals. What was I writing in January? What was I writing in March? What was I writing in June around my birthday? What was I writing in September and October? I need to examine these things. And once I've done some examination leads to evaluation. So now that I see, okay, using a financial example from my own personal life, my financial analysis points out that one of the highest places where I spend money has been eating at restaurants. Why? Why are you always at the restaurant and not eating at home? And then you value and you think through that. You're asking yourself the hard question, and I'm thinking through that, and I have to be honest and say, hey, there were times when the first lady had cooked dinner, and instead of eating and taking the food from home to work with me, I just stopped at Starbucks, stopped at Wendy's, stopped at Chick-fil-A, stopped at some place on the way. Later on in the year, me and Mo's Original Barbecue became very close friends, so much so that I can tell them I'm going to spend $22.19. Or me and my Starbucks order is I'm so consistent with my Starbucks order, I can tell you it's $11.99. For my drink, for my caramel brulee latte, venti hot with 2 extra pumps of caramel sauce and the sugar plum Danish is going to come out to $11.99. Reb, is that you? Yes, it's me. I got to ask myself the hard question. I had coffee in the office. Got the coffee machine in the office. Why am I where I am? Is this where I want to be? Am I where I want to be with my children, with my relationship with the first lady, with my wife, am I where I want to be as your pastor? I'm using my personal situation as a springboard for you to see how you need to evaluate your decisions. Was that wise? Should I have done that at the time that I did that? I made one decision. One decision has set me back financially for 2 years, or at least a year and a half. One decision. One decision. And it felt like a necessity. It felt like a necessity. It felt like it was something that I needed to do. But even in that, I could have come at it a different way where I would not be fighting the fight that I'm fighting today a year and a half later if I hadn't made that decision. How do I determine that? Move from examination to evaluation. And now, okay, now that I know what happened and why, here's the third biblical part of this biblical framework from Lamentations 3:40. You have to make the decision for execution. Let us search out. Let us examine our ways. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to turn our tail back to the Lord. We're coming back. We're thinking, contemporary English version, we're thinking about the way we're living. This is what makes you different from the ape. This is what makes you different from any other animal. He cannot think about why he does what he does. He does it through instinct. But God, having given you something completely different, has given you the essence of himself. Because you are a spirit living in a body, possessing a soul, you can consider and ponder, why I did that? And you can decide to do something different. That dog is trained to do what that dog is going to do. You can train yourself to do something different. Okay, let me move to the second question. So here's the second question. So how do you conduct a life audit? Are there some recommended exercises to help you get started? This is going to be my favorite part of our talk today. I want you to know, on the last time I did it, it's time for me to do it again. I'm actually taking next week, the next 10 days to dedicate. I'm dedicating some of my time every day over the next 10 days to go through these exercises myself, because I'm behind schedule. I normally will have already done this, and by now I would have had my 2025 document already written. I've been, so many other things are going on, and I've not been able to do that. So I'm going to talk you through what I do to audit my life. We can say January 2024 to December 2024. For me, it'll be more like June 2024 to January 20 to December 2024. And so the first exercise, put this in the comments, put the word tank in the comments. The word is tank. And if I had time, I would have created some graphics for you. I didn't have the opportunity to create the graphics. We all know what happened at our church on Thursday, and all that ensued with that. So that kind of ate up some of the time that I dedicated to putting this presentation together. No excuses. I'm still going to talk you through it. It's the tank assessment. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to get you a piece of paper, and I want you to sit down. And you may need to come back. You may want to save this video, come back and play this section again, where you can pause it and walk through the steps, so that you can do these exercises. The tank exercise. Get you a piece of paper, and I want you to draw something like a 3-column bar graph. You want column 1, column 2, column 3. Column 1, column 2, column 3. And I want you at the bottom to mark it a 0. Mark it 0. So if you were to shade in this bar graph, the bottom would equal 0. About halfway up would equal 5. About halfway up will equal 5. And the whole way up, all the way at the top, will equal 10. So we're measuring from 0 to 10. It's a scale of 0 to 10. Mid-range is about 5. Bottom is 0. And once you have built your 3 columns, your 3 tanks, and you laid out your measurements 0, 5, 10, I want you under the first column to write the word love. This represents your love tank. And under the second column, I want you to write joy. This is your joy tank. And then under the third column, I want you to write energy, or your energy tank. Okay, so you have your love tank, your joy tank, your energy tank. And now that we've got everything labeled, everything set up, I want you to take 60 seconds. I want you to take 60 seconds to be quiet, to be still, and to reflect, ask yourself the question, how loved do I feel? I want you to breathe into that question. Just concentrate on your breath and reflect on that question. Matter of fact, let's try it right now. We're coming up at the top of the minute. 2, 1, let us breathe. Okay, we've done 60 seconds of being still, being quiet, reflecting, asking ourselves, how loved do I feel? Now, based off of that 60 seconds, I don't want you to think about it. I just want you to respond. Mark in your box, in your column labeled the love tank, shade it in. You may shade in 7, you may shade in 8, you may shade in 3 or 4. Wherever you felt, whatever came to you, your awareness, your cognizance, as you reflected just now, mark that down. And I want you to repeat that exercise for love, for joy, and for energy. Now, when we've completed all 3 categories, when we've taken 60 seconds to breathe and to reflect, and we filled in each of these 3 bars, here's what we're going to do. We're going to write down love, and I want you to make 3 lists under the heading love. Each list will consist of 5 items. I want you to write down first 5 things that fills your love tank. 5 things that fill your love tank. If the first lady was doing this, she is going to say physical touch is one of them. She want to hold my hand, want to hug me or something. Some type of physical touch involved. Oh, it's Christmas. Come on, babe, let's cuddle and watch Christmas movies on Lifetime. Y'all not praying for me. Y'all not praying for me. 5 things that fill your love tank. For me, is one of the things for me is acts of service. And both, and if you're unaware, both of those terms comes from Gary Chapman's book, The 5 Love Languages. 5 love languages: physical touch, words of affirmation, acts of service, gifts given, and quality time. And you most feel loved when you're experiencing, for me, acts of service. For the first lady, physical touch. For others, quality time, or gifts given, or words of affirmation. And you may not feel most love when you get just one. There may be one and another. And I've in my evolution with that particular assessment, I've come to ranking them rather than isolating them. So rather than just saying my love language is acts of service, my highest love language is acts of service, because you can say something nice to me. You can give me some words of affirmation. There are moments when I do want physical touch, and there are moments when I do want you to bring me a gift. It's a level of priority. Top priority for me is acts of service. Now, what for this exercise, we're marking down 5 things that fills your love tank. You may say, when you take out the trash, I feel loved. Or you may say, when you compliment how I look, I feel loved. And so forth and so on. Now, here's the second list of 5. I want you to mark down 5 things that drains your love tank, or your joy tank, or your energy tank. When these 5 things happen, it just drains me immensely. For me, under the heading of energy tank, I have to say, for the job that I have, it's the weirdest thing. But for me, I cannot spend too much time around people. Too much time around people will drain my energy tank. And that's not just being in their physical presence, that's even having telephone conversations. There are certain people that after I've spent a period of time talking with them on the phone, I am completely drained. It's just a part of who I am. So I got a list of things that fill my tank: love, joy, energy. I have a list of 5 things that drain my tank: love, joy, energy. And here's the next thing. I need a list of 5 things that 5 things that you can do that will quickly restore your tank. 5 things you can do that can quickly refill your tank. For me, if I just said, for energy, too much time around people, too many conversations can drain my tank. Great. I know that. I also know the best thing for me is to take a nap. And so for some of you, if you've been in the pastor study, you've seen that I keep a air mattress in the pastor study, because sometimes when I'm drained, the only way for me to recover is to take a nap. And so in order for me to be my best self for this church and for the people of this church, I need to go to sleep. And it may be 30 minutes to an hour, but by the time I take that 30 minutes to an hour nap, I am refreshed, I'm rejuvenated, I'm ready to talk, I'm ready to study, I'm ready to go preach, I'm ready to do whatever else I got to do, because I know that refills my tank. I know sometimes I don't need to go to sleep. Sometimes I need to get in the car and drive and listen to music. And when I say music, I ain't talking about church music. I'm talking about Robert Glasper. I'm talking about Snarky Puppy. I'm talking about the internet. I'm talking about music. I even listen to Rosa Pesos. Rosa Pesos doesn't even sing in English. She sings music, her native music from Latin America, and it's restorative for me. I know for me, if I need to restore some energy, I need my oil diffuser. That certain scents, for me, I like to use lemongrass, I like to use clay sage and lavender, and I like to use frankincense together. And I'll put it in the oil diffuser and let the oil diffuser go, and it'll change the scent in the atmosphere, and it'll change my attitude and how I feel. Some of you have experienced it. When I am tired and hungry, I can be very snappy. So I need to know how to refill my tank. On Thursday, and I'm moving on because I've extended this way too long. I probably won't get to all 5 questions, but on Thursday, as we were dealing with the crisis at the church, people were calling and people were stopping and people were asking, and I had to keep telling that story of what happened over and over again, and it wore me down. It wore my battery low. So what did I do? I told Deacon Wiggins, I said, hey, I'll be back. I'll be back. I hadn't eaten. I needed to go to sleep. And I came home. I had made me a pasta bake, and I ate me a plate of that pasta bake, and I laid on the sofa and I slept a little while. I knew that was about 1:30. I knew the people were coming to the church about 3. So I went and I ate, I laid down, and I got back up in time enough to get there about 3:15, 3:30, get back to the church about 3:15, 3:30, so that I could be in a mind space, a mental space where I can interact with the people. You got to do the assessment so that you can know that. For you, I did that back in June for my birthday. Here's the second exercise. It's called the Will of Life Assessment. It's called the Will of Life Assessment. Now, this time again, I wish I had a graphic to show you. I want you to make a pie chart with 10 sections. So I want you to draw a circle, half it, 5 to the left, 5 sections to the left, 5 sections to the right. I need it to be 10 sections. I need 10 pieces of the pie. 10 pieces of the pie. Now, we're going to label each of these 10 sections the life domains. So there'll be a section labeled spiritual. There'll be a section labeled physical. There'll be a section labeled emotional. There'll be a section labeled intellectual and social and marital or relational and parental and vocational and avocational and financial. And these are the 10 life domains of your life. And each one of these sections of the pie represents one of these 10 life domains. Now, at the center of the circle is the 0 point. And as you move out from the 0 point at the center of the circle to the circumference of the circle, you're moving from 0 out to 10. And we're going to take another 60 seconds and we're going to breathe and reflect, and we're going to ask ourselves, on a scale of 1 to 10, where am I in this area of my life? We're going to take a minute right now. Ask yourself about spirituality. Let's go. All right, we did our 60 seconds of reflection, asking ourselves the question, where am I? Y'all excuse Max is walking around the house. Where am I on a scale of 1 to 10 in the spiritual area of my life, the spiritual dimension of my life, the spiritual domain of my life? Spiritually, on a scale of 1 to 10, where am I? And I want you to mark with the center of the circle being 0 and the outside edge of the circle being 10. I want you to shade in that section labeled spiritual. Maybe 5, maybe 6, maybe 10. Wherever you feel, wherever resonates with you, mark that down. I want you to do the same thing for all 10 life domains: spiritual, physical, emotional, intellectual, social, relational, parental, vocational, avocational, financial. I want you to mark all of them. Take your 60 seconds to breathe into it and respond. Now, once you've drawn out your circle and you filled in your 10 spaces, I want you to write 2 sentences under each life domain heading. Okay, so here's the sentences. We just together went through marking up the spiritual section on the pie chart. Underneath the pie chart, I want you to write spiritual. And I want you to write a sentence on why you feel you are where you are. I'll say I am at a 7, 8. No, 6, 7. I'll give myself a 6, 7 spiritually. And my sentence as to why I feel that way. I feel that I am a 6, 7 spiritually because I am sporadic in several of my spiritual disciplines. I'm sporadic in journaling and I'm sporadic in fasting. I'm not as consistent. I feel like I'm a 6, 7 because I am not as consistent as I want to be as it relates to journaling. I journal in seasons, in spurts. So this last spurt, I was able to journal from the month of August. Excuse me, from I journaled through October and halfway through November, and I stopped, and I haven't picked it back up again. Or with fasting, my intention is to fast at least 24 hours once a week. I'm good if I get once a month. Now, you're hearing me say that, and you're like, well, Pastor, at least you fasting. I'm not fasting at all. For me, that's a demerit. That takes away from my score. That my desire and goal is to fast for 24 hours once a week. So for me, I want to fast. When I do fast from sundown to sundown. So I would start on Wednesday evening at 6, and I go from Wednesday evening at 6 to Thursday at 6, fasted. Have my dinner on Thursday night, and then Friday would be my Sabbath, my day off, my day of recreation and relaxation. Day I go bowling or go to the gun range or get a massage or whatever I'm gonna do. Me and the first lady go and watch a movie. Take the kids to the mall so they can play in the play area. It's a wonder to see Deuce climb up and down those big blocks. So that's my why. Here's the second sentence. Where do I want to be? I want to be consistent in my spiritual disciplines. I want to do my Bible app every day. I do Through the Bible on the YouVersion Bible app, and I listen to it every day. I want to do guided prayer every day. I want to do guided meditation, 15 minutes of breath work every day. I want to journal every day. And I want to fast for 24 hours once a week. And I want to Sabbath for 24 hours once a week. I want to do those 6 things consistently every day, every day, every week. That's just something spiritual that I want to do. That's the kind of life that's the kind of person I want to be. Kind of person who spends time every morning in the scriptures, who spends time every day in prayer, who spends time every day doing breath work. Why? Because it lowers my blood pressure. It calms my stress. It allows me to sit. It gives me 15 minutes. You'd be surprised that a lot of the sermons that you've heard me preach over 2024 were developed in those 15 minutes of just sitting there being quiet and breathing. Maybe I may turn on some soft music. I like to listen to the piano. I forget the YouTube channel. The guy on YouTube plays hymns on the piano, and I'll turn him on, and I'll sit there, and on my watch I'll turn on my breathing, the breathing apparatus, and it will for 5 minutes guide me through a breathing exercise. And I'll do that 3 times in a row. And while I'm sitting there breathing and meditating on the word and meditating on the things going on in my life, the framework for a sermon will come to mind, or the sermon, the sentence will come to mind, or the answer to a problem administratively will come to mind. The kind of person I want to be. And I'm going to preach it. I'm going to preach this in 2025. I'm going to preach this in January, where the scripture says, I am more informed than my instructors because I spend time in meditation. In meditation, I'm not going to get carried away with this. In meditation, the Holy Spirit takes spiritual words and spiritual thoughts, and He put them together in your head so that you can be led by Him, by the Spirit of God. The kind of person I want to be. A 10 for me would be to be consistent in receiving the scriptures, prayer, meditation, journaling, fasting, guided prayer. I want to do that. So I want you to do that for every single one of those life domains. Take your minute to breathe through it. Shade in the section on the pie diagram to where you believe you are in that particular area, and then write down the 2 sentences. I am where I am. I feel I am where I am because, and this is where I want to be. And here's the last segment, the last exercise I want to give to you. The last exercise I want to give to you is the 10 statements exercise. Now, this takes on 2 sections. Here's the first section. Still got a sheet of paper. We got a sheet of paper with our tank exercise. We got a sheet of paper with our life domain exercise. Now we need a sheet of paper for our 10 statements exercise. I want you to mark 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I want you to take the 60-second breathing exercise that we've taken thus far. And I want you to think about who you are in the present moment. 10 things that are true about you right now in the present moment. I want you to be objective. I don't want you to try to explain. I don't want you to try to interpret. No judgment, no nothing. I just want you to come up with, in your mind, 10 things that are true about you at the present moment. Matter of fact, let's take 60 seconds to think about that. We're going to begin that in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's begin. All right, we've done our 60 seconds. I want you to take whatever came to your mind in those 60 seconds, 10 things that are true about you. I want you to write them down. I am. This is where I am. This is what I am. This is who I am. This is how I am. We're not worried about why. I am Sherry's husband. I am Deuce and Kendall's dad. I am Jaden and Segwit's godfather. I am the pastor of the Greater Beulah Church. I am a professor and director of the doctoral program for East Texas Theological Seminary. I am a sought after itinerant minister. I am an unpublished author, on and on. 10 things that are true about you. And I often suggest that you don't start your 10 until you get past those trivial things. Like what I was just saying was just to get me started. Those were primer statements. I'm a sought after itinerant minister. I am an unpublished author. Those are primer statements. But then when you start talking about where you are mentally, I appreciate where I am in my life. I enjoy my work. And you start getting into that, now we're cooking with first grease. Now we're cooking with first grease. But you got to get there. So you may need to do some primer statements. But once you do your primer statements, get into the nitty-gritty and start being honest about who you are, what you are, where you are, and how you are. Not worried about why you are. No explanation, no interpretation, no judgment. This is as objective about yourself as you can be. Now that you've done that, we're going to come back and do the breathing exercise a second time. But this time, I want you to project yourself to December the 21st, 2025, when you do this exercise again. And I want you to think about what will be true of you then. What will be true of you when you examine and evaluate your life in 2025, December 21st, 2025. Then I want you to do the minute of breathing exercise, and I want you to think about it and visualize yourself there, envision yourself there, dream about it for a minute, and then come back and write down those 10 things. But here's the catch about the 10 things about 2025. I don't want you to write them as if they are something to happen. I want you to write them as if they are the present tense. So for me, one of my 10 would be I've reached my weight loss goal. That's saying in the present tense, I am at my ideal weight. I have achieved I'm still saying in past tense, let me see. I am financially stable. I have a suitable rainy day fund and a profitable investment portfolio. And things on that order. All right, I've spent so much time. It has been already an hour, and we have just gotten through the second question. I will most likely come back and do questions 4 and 5 at another time. At least allow me a few moments to get through question number 3, and we'll bring our time to a close. Here's the third question. I've completed my life audit. Now what? How does the information from my life audit help me plan for the future? How does the information contained in my life audit help me prepare for the future? Okay, this is where I want to talk about your decision making matrix. Why don't you? I've not asked you put anything in the comments in a minute. Why don't you put that in the comments? A decision making matrix. And I'll just so you can see it on the screen, I'm going to put the first step of it up. A decision making matrix. And the decision making matrix works on the acronym SKIP. It works on the acronym SKIP. So now that you have Now that you have your tank assessment, you have your will of life assessment, and you have your 10 truths about you statements, present tense, and from 2024 and from 2025. Now we need to go through the decision making matrix. What does that entail? Number one, I need to ask what needs to stop. What about my present circumstance and situation do I need to stop? I'll tell you what I need to stop. I need to stop spending so much money on eating out. Just that much. That simple. You need to stop eating out. I may not completely stop eating out, but I do know that this is something that I need to pay close attention to. Uh, a better one for this is I need to just there are some subscriptions that I'm not using. The financial analysis revealed to me that I had several subscriptions that I didn't even remember that I had. Those need to come to a hard stop. For one, I'm paying $11. For another, I'm paying $25 a month. So I'm spending almost $40 a month on subscriptions that I'm not using. That needs to stop. It needs to come to a hard stop. And although I'm talking about money, you may need to be talking about something relationally. I'm going to stop enabling this negative behavior. I'm not going to do that no more. I'm just not doing that no more. I know you feed off of arguments. We're not arguing. You can. I don't care. No, I'm not arguing. We can have a conversation. I'm not going to argue with you. Some things need to stop. You got to identify them. Here's the second piece. Acronym is skip, stop. Next thing, what needs to keep going? Okay, I've been talking about my financial situation and what's going on with me in that area. So I have, although it's rather complex because there are so many different accounts, but I have a system where I am saving money in several different accounts in several different institutions on a week by week basis. I'm contributing to Kendall and Deuce's savings account every single week. I am contributing to our CD every other week. I'm contributing to investment accounts every week, and I have high interest yielding savings accounts that I'm putting money into. I have a system in place that's feeding this machine. I don't need to stop that. No, I don't need to stop that. And I have a way, and it's working in such a way that I don't have to think about it. And if that's the case, that needs to keep going. I hired a trainer. I hired a trainer who's working with me as it relates to lifting weights. That doesn't need to stop. I need to keep working. I need to keep working these weights. I took the Crunch Fitness. When you go to Crunch Fitness, they have I want to say it's like $40 or something, where you can do a 360 assessment, where they have a machine in one of the classrooms at Crunch Fitness that will evaluate your whole body and will tell you your body composition and your fat index and all of that, and your lean muscle mass and all of it. It will give you all of those details so that if you're working out or exercising like I am, trying to improve your health, you know where you need to focus and you have all of the metrics that you can measure. Okay, I need to keep doing that. That's something I got to keep doing. Now I'll go back to the spending money on eating out. I may not stop it completely, but this is something I do need to improve. I may spend some money on eating out, but not as much money on eating out. That's an improvement. So I'll move that from the stop category to the improve category. So we're talking about skip, stop, keep, improve. What about your situation can you improve? How can I improve that journaling situation for me? Change up the journaling style. There are so many different methods of journaling. I've been working with the bullet journal style. There's another style of journaling now where you take one sheet of paper and you mark down the date for every day of the month, and on that one sheet of paper you're only responsible for writing down one thing you're grateful for that day, or one thing that happened that day, or one thing you learned that day. It's only one line. You're only responsible for one line on that sheet of paper each day for every day of the month. And as you get and the thought process is, as you get in the habit of writing one thing down, you'll have more to say. So you'll flip from that page and you'll write something else. And it may not be a full page, it may not be a full system, a full journaling system, but it will be writing something. And before you know it, you have baked in, because of the simplicity of the method, you baked in a journaling habit. You created a habit. And so now you're improving something simply because you're doing it. You're getting your reps in. The more reps, the more effective you're going to be. So decision-making matrix. I got my energy tank assessment. I got energy, joy, love assessment. I got my will of life assessment. I got my 10 statements. I got all of this information. What am I going to do with it? Okay, based off of what I learned from this, what do I need to stop doing? What do I need to keep doing? What do I need to improve? Now, here's something that I found was very interesting. This is the last piece of this decision-making matrix. What needs to be put on pause? Now, let's go back to my system that I was telling you about of transferring money to all these accounts. The conversation, I like my system. I put my system together. I planned it out to go the way that it's going. But the analysis says it may be wiser for you to pause doing all of the different accounts. Maybe there are a couple of accounts that you keep, but there are a couple of accounts that you pause while you focus on this more pressing thing over here. You're not stopping it. You're going to come back to it at another time. But it may be wise for you to pause your attention to this so you can divert your attention to something more important. And I know I'm speaking of money, but I'm really hoping that you're hearing what I'm saying in the larger frame of things. That there are some things that you may have to put on pause so that you can focus on something else. Yeah, I won't meddle in that. I got a few minutes. Let me see if I can get 4 and 5. I'll do 4 and 5 together. And if I can do 4 and 5 in 12 minutes, I'll finish this entire presentation and we'll be done for the day. 4, what should be included in your strategic plan for a new year? How do you put it together? And 5, how important is it to write down your strategic plan? What model do you recommend for writing an annual plan? Okay, I recommend that you use a one-page plan model. Now, my plans over the years have been 4 pages. My plans have been up to 6, as large as, I want to say, 6 pages worth of a foundational document. This year I want to move away from that. I want one sheet of paper that I can look at and see everything that I need to know to get me through the year. What's going to go on that plan? Section 1, at the top of the plan. If you've been in a leadership meeting with me, you ought to know this. Every leadership meeting I lead, I start with the foundational statements of our church. You need those same statements for your life. You need a purpose statement. I was created by God to be Sherry's husband, to be Kendall and Deuce's dad, to be Greater Beulah's pastor, to be a mentoring friend to preachers and pastors, and to author Christian inspirational and educational materials. To be the author of inspirational and educational materials. That is why I was born. I was born into this world to do those things. I would not be who I am if I was not those things. I am those things. Those things are me. And when you start pulling away those things, you start pulling away, tugging at my essential nature, who I really am. My mission. I am a, a communicator. I am a communicator who teaches everyday people to apply the principles of Scripture to accomplish their life goals. That's my mission. My core values, I value integrity. I value integrity. I value spirituality. I value loyalty. I value responsibility. And there's another. I have five values. I have five value statements. Let me see if I can't pull that up. I have five value statements. Let me see if I can't pull that up. I know I'm wasting some of my minutes. Okay. One more round. One more round. One more round, y'all. MKM. There it is. I had to search it out. My core values. I value spirituality. I value authenticity. I value competency. I value responsibility, and I value loyalty. And part of the reason why my statement takes 4 pages is because I write statements to explain all of that. Spiritually, I am a spirit-filled, spirit-led person. My relationship with Holy Spirit impacts every area of my life. Staying sensitive to his leading is a top priority for me. And I will go through that. And then I have my vision statement. And something I'm adding this year is a word of the year. What word is going to characterize the year for me? Pastorally, for our church, the word is training. 2025 is a year of training for me. Everything that I do, I want to be training the saints of God. I want to train you. I want to train you in spiritual disciplines. I want to train you in spiritual fruit. I want to train you in spiritual gifts. I want to train you in staying in step with the Spirit. This year, I'm training leaders. I'm training preachers. I'm training deacons. This year is all about training. So the first section is your foundational statements. Here's the next section. The next section is going to be your goal section. And I want you to plan for, this is big, 4 goals. There was a time when I would have said 10, that you should plan a goal for every life domain of your life. Every domain of your life. No, don't do it. It's too much. You're not going to accomplish it. Plan your goals 4 at a time. Why 4? Plan it so that you can give full attention to one goal for 12 weeks or a quarter of the year. And I want your goal to be specific. I want your goal to be measurable. I want your goal to be actionable. I want your goal to be risky. I want your goal to be time bound. I want your goal to be exciting. I want your goal to be relevant to where you are in life. So what does that look like? I got my document from 2025 up. 2024 up. Here's what one of my goals for 2025 was. 2024. My mind is already in 2025. This was my for this was a this was a physical goal for me. I'll give you my spiritual goal. Specific, attend a 4-day spiritual retreat at the Monastery of the Holy Spirit in Conyers by my 36th birthday. So let's walk through the goal. Specific, how many days? 4 days. Where is it going to be? Monastery of the Holy Spirit. Okay. Is it measurable? Yes. The goal is not a 1-day retreat. The goal is not a 2-day retreat. The goal is a 4-day retreat. I want to get there on Wednesday. I got this marked down in the goal. I want to get there on Wednesday. I don't want to leave until Saturday. For me, I'll book to stay overnight Saturday and get up old dark 30 on Sunday morning and drive in so that when I get to church on Sunday morning, I have just left the monastery in Conyers. It's measurable. It's actionable. I can attend. It's a little risky for me. It's a little risky because I have to take that kind of time. How's that going to affect my household? Excuse me. How's that going to affect my household? Wife with Kendall and Deuce and Max. How's that going to affect the church? I have to take days away from the church. How's that going to affect my itinerant ministry? These are days where someone may call and ask me to come and preach and I cannot go. By my birthday, a lot of my friends we choose to vacation together. 1 year it was me and my friend in Atlanta. 1 year, me and my buddy from California, we met up in Seattle. 1 year, we did couple trips with myself and wife and our friends from Houston and our friends from Waco. We all met up in a city and we vacationed together. So this is going to cost something for me to go to the retreat. I may not be able to go on vacation. I may have to give up some vacation. I may have to give up an itinerant engagement. It's a little risky. It's time bound. How long is it going to last? 4 days. When do I need to get it done by? My birthday. That's June the 17th. It's exciting for me because I get to spend time with the monks. With the monks. That's exciting for me. To spend time in the dorm. The dorm sits up over the monastery graveyard. So you look out of the window and you see a field with all of the white crosses. They don't have tombstones, they have white crosses. And the name of the friar or the name of the monk that is buried at that marker. And it's silence for so many days, for 4 days, little to no talking and spiritual direction, the spiritual direction meeting, and to spend time with the abbot of the monastery. All of that's exciting for me. It may not be to you, but it's exciting for me. It's relevant to my life because that's where, especially when I'm off spiritually, when I'm not where I need to be with God, where I've been so busy pouring out that I've not really replenished my relationship with God, that becomes very relevant to my life situation. And so I don't want to do 10 of those. I want to do 4 of those. On my 2024 document, I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I did 7 of those. I did 7 goals, and I have accomplished 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've accomplished 5 of those goals. 5 of the 7. And again, I already made mention of the fact of one bad financial decision setting me back a year and a half. That's one of those goals that I'm still working on. I made progress in the goal. I just have not completed the goal. And there's And the second goal that's not completed is because I delayed that to 2025. I pushed that back to 2025 because my attention was given to the school. I was instead of doing one class at the seminary, one class turned into three classes, and so I needed to give attention to the seminary and what I was doing there rather than focusing in on this other communal relational goal. The last thing I want to put on this, and this is where we wrap it up. You need to have an implementation strategy. What kind of support are you going to need? I know I need to have a team. What does my team look like? My team consists of instructors and encouragers. Instructors and encouragers. I need to know who on my team is an instructor. That includes my instructors include mentors and coaches. Mentors and coaches. Encouragers includes my pastor and my friends. And these people support me as I reach for my goals. I need key dates. I need to know, okay, I need to have this done by my birthday. And please, don't set all of your goals for December 31st. Don't set all of your goals for your birthday. Don't do that. Set different goals. This is another reason why I'm saying do 4 goals on a quarterly basis so that you can have staggered key dates. You may want to input special holidays and birthdays and so forth and so on into that as well. You want to put your accountability structure. I said this to one of the persons seeking mentorship from me. I said, I only know what you tell me, and I'm not going to chase you to find it out. So I have a system in place where I am accountable to my pastor. Bishop Brian Keith Hodges can expect from me in the first week of the month an audio message. We don't call one another. We send each other audio messages, and that's how we communicate. So I'll send him an audio message, and I'll answer for him 3 questions. What went well in the previous month? What didn't go well in the previous month? What am I planning to do in the coming month? And I'm going to send him that message first week of every month so that he can know and he can hold me accountable. He'll say, you're doing good in this. You need to work on this. Consider this. Pick up this book. No, you can't go there. No, you can't do this. Sidebar. Whenever my pastor starts off with, do you trust me? Man, you finna say something I don't want to hear. Whenever Brian Keith Hodges starts a conversation with Maurice, do you trust me? What is it, Bishop? And he's going to say something I don't want to hear, but in the end, it's going to be what I needed to hear. And then finally, you need to know your success metrics. How am I going to measure whether or not I was successful in this or no? And here's the next piece of having success metrics. Don't just have success metrics, have celebration metrics. If I am successful, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? If I am successful, how am I going to reward myself? Do not reward yourself with a cheat day if it's a weight loss goal. Don't do that, please. Set yourself back already. Now, last thing I want to say. Last set of things I'm going to say, because we've extended our time. Written goals are 42% more likely to be achieved. That's why you need your one-page plan. Written goals are more likely to be achieved. Regularly reviewing those goals is going to boost your achievement prospects to 76%. Just writing it down makes it 42% more likely that you're going to be successful. Reviewing it regularly. That's why I only want 1 page, so that it'll be easy to review. Reviewing those 4 pages is work. I got to sit down. No, if I can take a minute and look at that 1 page and see everything on it that I need to see. If I can do that, we cooking with fish grease. Regular review boosts achievement to 76%. But here's the one. When you share that written goal with somebody, it increases your chances of success by 78%. Yep. It increases your success rate by 78%. So I want to close with this. The best plan is the one you use. And that's why I'm advising you to keep your plan simple, keep your plan visible, keep your plan flexible. Why flexible? Because when you get to June and you identify what's not working, don't be afraid to abandon a sinking ship. If it's not working, it's not working. So change, pivot. Change and pivot. I saw that, okay, this may not be working the way I want it to work. So let's shift here. Let's shift. And when I shifted, okay, now I got some more success. So, in conclusion, start where you are. Start right where you are. I've given you some tools, so use what you have. Take the right next step. And let's come back this time again next year. Let's see what happened. Let's see how far we've come. Because we audited 2024. We put some plans in place for 2025. Listen, I can't wait to see you in the sanctuary tomorrow. Now, listen, we're not using the front door. We're not using the front door. We're going to use the side door. So we're going to come in through the side doors. We may even make Mitchell Hall a way to come into the sanctuary, enter through Mitchell Hall and through the side door in the sanctuary. We don't want to do too much in the front of our sanctuary. Thank God for the men's fellowship that helped us patch up clean up the mess and patch up the hole and all of that. And thank you to our executive council for taking leadership and making things happen. I look to see you guys in the morning. I got a word that I've been working on all week. I thought to change it. I prayed and asked the Lord, does the crisis that we've experienced warrant a change in sermon? And the Holy Spirit asked me, did I change what I said? And so I'm going to preach what he said. And I believe you'll be blessed by it. Until then, I love you so much. God bless you. See you in the morning. Be blessed today. Follow peace with all men. Pursue love above all things. Go in peace. Serve the Lord. I love you so much. God bless you. Peace.